Hello, my dears. I'm Lady MCreepsta. If you had 3 wishes that could be granted, what would you wish for? Think carefully now. In today's tale by Redditor Silascrane, we find out why you should never wish you were dead. So come now, my dears. Lean in closer, and we'll begin. Kill me, my master demanded firmly. Well, ain't that a kick in the lamp? For 2,000 years, I've been bombarded with requests for money, fame, power, and sex. And for 2,000 years, I've watched those wishes go awry. It's not my fault. It's just the elasticity of reality. I don't even know how it's going to go wrong until the moment I grant the wish and find that the ways in which it can be technically granted have narrowed down to 1 or 2 possibilities that usually don't match what the wisher intended. By then, it's too late for me to hit the brakes even if I wanted to. I have to grant the wish. I think it's because the universe is an orderly creature, but it's an ornery one too. It doesn't like being pushed out of shape. Push it too hard, and it has the tendency to push back. Everyone pushes it though. No one ever wishes for just $250,000, or to be just 60% more attractive to the opposite sex, to have their enemies lose a moderate amount of money in the stock market, or any of a million other small wishes that would allow them to lead a charmed life while still falling inside the cosmic margin of error. That being the case, some of my former masters probably did wish they were dead by the end, but only with a lowercase w, after they'd already spent the 3 wishes they got from me. But someone rubbing the old bronze and immediately asking to snuff it? That's new to me, which isn't something I say often. Master? I ask, plaintively. I'm not allowed to give unsolicited advice on wishes, which is probably why the only people who've ever really come out ahead with me are the few inquisitive types who wished to understand how wishes work. I also can't grant a wish that isn't properly phrased as such, which my suicidal client had failed to do. I want to die, he said, scowling. My life has been nothing but misery. I won't regale you with why, because that would require me to relive my wretched existence and prolong my suffering. I'm out. I'm done. I gaze upon the horizon of my future and proclaim, nope. I see, I replied, hesitantly. People kill themselves all the time without my help, and that doesn't break reality, although it harms the world in other ways. But I felt something profoundly wrong, in a more fundamental, categorical way, as I considered this wish. It was almost forcing a nonsensical idea into reality, in actualizing the will of the wisher to no longer have any will at all. That's the kind of thing that gives the universe indigestion. Well, I couldn't ask questions when a guy asked for a tower that reached the moon. He thought I failed to grant his wish, but I assured him that somewhere on the moon there is an inch-high tower, and I couldn't ask questions about this. He stared at me, face full of bitterness. Well? Well, what? I hate it when they don't catch on. I'm really not allowed to clarify. I wished to die. Kill me, he sputtered. Unfortunately, he made a factually incorrect statement that he wished to die. Past tense. Not good enough. Did you? I asked, wincing in discomfort as that question strained my boundaries as far as I dared. He paused a moment, thinking, then smirked humorlessly. Ah, I see. So I rub a magic lamp and I just happened to get an anal, uncooperative genie. That's just my luck. I resented that, but simply crossed my arms and stared back at the little twerp. Fine, he said, rolling his eyes. I wish to die. And so he did. Before I was even finished saying the obligatory, granted. When he awoke in the hospital, I was sitting in the guest chair by his bed, idly surfing the web on my phone. He blearily rubbed his eyes and looked around in confusion until his eyes fell on me. Hey, he cried accusingly. I wished to die. And die you did, master, I replied cheerfully. The irony of the arcane laws that bind me is that I am allowed, indeed required, to explain the results of wishes after the fact. You suffered a heart attack. Luckily, a neighbor happened by, found you and called 911. The paramedics arrived in record time to revive you, and though you were dead for a few minutes, you made a splendid recovery. You're going to be just fine. I wanted to stay dead, he snapped, wringing his bedclothes in consternation. That's not what you wished, I replied with a shrug and a smile. I really don't usually take pleasure in how I have to distort people's wishes. I feel sorry for them. I feel bad about having to dash their hopes, but this guy really bugged me. Fine, he yelled, shaking off the tubes and wires that connected him to various machines. Then I wish... He paused, and I raised my eyebrows. He was thinking it over. A lot of people don't, after the first wish goes south. They hasten to correct it, and thereby make it worse. No, I'm not going to wish to die and stay dead. You'll send me to some kind of hell or underworld or something, he mused, glaring at me. Actually, things like heaven and hell are above even my pay grade. They're one of the few things I can't do anything about. Of course, I couldn't tell him that, so I just looked back calmly. He thought for a while longer, and slowly a triumphant smile spread across his face. I wish that I never existed. Uh-oh, that was a problem. Because, of course, if he never existed, how did he make that wish? Everything went black around me. Matter, energy, space, and time unraveled as I looked on in horror. His first wish was bad enough, but now he had gone and wished for a paradox. 2,000 years I'd gone with no one breaking the universe, but every streak has to end, I guess. When someone wishes for something that's strongly opposed to reality, reality hangs in the balance, and I have to find a loophole that lets the wish and the universe coexist. I had a hard time with this one, I admit. It took me a while. Fortunately for all of you who have to live in the universe, when time ceases to exist, you effectively have all the time you'll ever need. It was both eternity and no time at all before I spoke again. Granted. Welcome back, Master. Damn you, he growled. Categorically impossible, I assured him. Something's wrong, my master said, touching his temple and looking around in confusion. What did you do? What you asked, Master. I made it so that a particular letter of the Latin alphabet never existed, I replied. You son of a bitch, he muttered in amazement as he worked it out in his head. You got rid of the letter that I used for the word I when I made my wish. Yes, but things aren't always perfectly changed in the mind of the wisher themselves, which is why you notice something's wrong, I confirmed. No one else will, though. He sat there for a long time. Slowly, his face fell and his eyes filled with tears. I've never had anything but pain and suffering from life. Why are you doing this to me? I'm not doing anything, I replied simply. You do this to yourself. I could already see where this was going. I've been doing this job for a long time. I leaned in close to him. You've always done this to yourself. His eyes widened. Ah, the look of a mortal whose worldview has been exploded by the Aesop bomb that so often accompanies a magic lamp. I never get tired of seeing it. He sat in silence for a long time, and I didn't say anything else. I knew it was only a matter of time before he said it. I wish to undo my first 2 wishes, he muttered quietly. Granted, I said with a smile. That was a clever little story now, don't you agree? If you had 3 wishes, what would you wish for? Drop me a comment below and let me know. I'd like to give a quick welcome to new members of my dark family on Patreon. It's so nice to have you join us. If you too would like to become a member and be eligible for Patreon-only content and discounts on merchandise, a link to my Patreon page is below. Patreon.com/Lady MCreepsta. That's all for this time, my dears. Do come back and visit me soon.